Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to start talking about Christmas and how the history of Christmas came about to what we know today. So, Christmas was not always celebrated with the traditions that we have today. Many of the aspects that we have at Christmas time are combined from other cultures. So, one of the other cultures was in the North, the Norse. And I don't know if you've heard of the Yule log, but they used to celebrate, and still do, the Yule season. And that was always around December 21st. The fathers and the sons would bring in the largest log that they could get or find into the home and set it on fire. The fires tended to last for about 12 days. The sparks from the log was said to represent the number of pigs or calves that would be born in the spring, which would be a good sign of the year to come, that they would have lots of food. And they would also bring in evergreens, and which brought color into the house because the evergreens stay green all winter. Here's some Norse bringing in some evergreens. And they also had the god Odin. And he was known as being a big bearded man that lived in the far north. And he was the lord of Athenium, which was the land of the elves. So I kind of wonder if this is where, St. Nick, part of the St. Nicholas slash Santa eventually came from. And one thing the children would do is they would fill a boot full of straw, and Odin would come in. He would take the straw out and he would put toys and sweets and fruits in the boot to replace it. And the straw was meant for his eight-legged horse, which I kind of wonder if that became the eight reindeer eventually. And then, of course, we have the Romans. They celebrated the winter solstice on December 25th. And they said this was the day that the sun god Mirtha was said to have been born. And Mirtha was born in a field from a rock, which there would have been shepherds out in the field that were tending their flocks nearby, which could be part of the whole nativity that came up in the future. So it wasn't until about the 4th century that the Christians started to celebrate the birth of Christ. They always celebrated the resurrection, just not the birth. So, and again, back in those days, you didn't have birth certificates, so we had no idea when Jesus was really born. And it said that he might have been born more in the spring and not in the winter. But the church decided to combine it with this holiday that the Romans were already celebrating for Mirtha. And that was on December 25th. Again, just like they did with Halloween, they knew it was better to adopt a tradition than to fight a tradition and fight with them to try and change completely. So, again, here's the. And one of the things that they did was they started decorating the evergreens with apples. And the apples were said to represent the Garden of Eden. But as we kind of see, you look at it, apples eventually morphed into being our ornaments that we have today. So that's another change that would have happened. So next time, we are going to move on to the next phase of the development of Christmas as we know it today.